Seth Rollins wants to come out here dressed up in a suit made out of my grandma's old tablecloths. All right, I know I seen that pattern somewhere, and I'm pretty sure I seen it on a Christmas dinner table somewhere along the line. Maybe it wasn't the tablecloth. Maybe it was the runner in the middle. Maybe it was her drapes.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Heyo, and what's up, gang? Welcome back to the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. My name is Nick Nightmare, and in this episode, we are going to talk about everything wrong with this evening's final broadcast of Monday Night Raw from the USA Network. And that's one of the biggest things wrong with the show in and of itself, is that it's leaving the USA Network. USA and the WWE, most specifically Monday Night Raw itself, have been synonymous with each other for almost 3 decades, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. In any case, it just has me concerned. I have a lot of concerns moving forward after this night as far as the broadcast is concerned, but we'll get into all of that much later. As far as the broadcast tonight, the last broadcast on USA, I was left feeling a little bit, just like whatever, until that final segment. If the WWE's intention for this episode was to get people to subscribe to Netflix and watch this show next Monday, they did a great job. These two guys did fantastic. That was some of the most intense promotion between two guys that I have ever seen. And we will get to that as well. But first I want to talk about most of the stuff wrong with this show. And most of the stuff is a result of things that are just going on way too long. For example, the opening segment with the New Day. Now, I'm all for this new version of the New Day. I love that everybody wants to boo the New Day. But essentially, Raw started off with a bunch of dead air. And it was dead air because nothing happened other than the crowd at the live event having a great time. But when you're sitting at home watching and you're just staring at your TV screen and the New Day's trying to talk and nobody's letting them say anything, it starts to get to you after, like the second or third week. Can we hear what the New Day has to say? I mean, come on, guys, let's play along. This is one of those rare situations where the crowd involvement is actually a hindrance to the show. And it was driving me nuts. I just want them to get their explanation out and let's get this story moving on. Who are they even going to go against? They're pissed off at Jey Uso now because Jey Uso came out and added more dead air because his entrance is now rivaling Roman Reigns in length and time duration. And yes, again, it's fun to do the yeet when you're there. But why they have to let the song play through 2 or 3 times, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. And at that point, waiting for so long with the New Day saying nothing, it's just like, oh good, more nothing happening. But do you know what all this nothing actually led to? More nothing. Because the New Day pleaded with Jey Uso to try to get the crowd to shut the hell up so that they could say something. Jey Uso tried to oblige. The crowd didn't play along again. And then Jey Uso just stand there and literally did nothing while the New Day decided to walk away. He said a little something. He got the crowd to chant New Day sucks. And then the New Day left. And then Jey Uso started to cut his promo. Right, and now things started to happen. Jey Uso cut a promo talking about how he wanted vengeance on Drew McIntyre. And only to have Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline interrupt him on the Titantron screen. Solo talking about how Jey messed up because he didn't side with him. He didn't side with the real new Bloodline after everything Roman had already done to him. And that he's going to take out Roman and he's going to be the tribal chief and you're going to have to acknowledge him and blah, blah, blah. The same old stuff, right? Jey Uso wants to respond and then gets kicked in the face by Drew McIntyre. This ends up in a little bit of a brawl. He ends up getting really hit hard with the Glasgow Kiss headbutt by Drew McIntyre. Jey Uso left dazed on the mat. Drew McIntyre leaves, comes back, goes to beat him up a little more, hits him with a kick, and then leaves again. Jey Uso not looking his best in the opening. Drew McIntyre getting the best of him once again. And that's essentially how Raw kicked off. There was a whole lot of nothing, and then a big explosion. And then again, we go to some stuff that has just been going on way too long. And that is, again, case in point in the first matchup of the night. Chad Gable with American Made going against Otis with Akira Tozawa and Maxine Dupree. This match, and this feud specifically, has gone cold months ago. Man, this match should have happened a long, long time ago. But when this match should have happened, when it had all the heat in the world and everybody wanted to see it happen, WWE decided to take the Wyatt Six and throw them in the way, which was good TV, and it was fun to see Chad Gable, and all them get their comeuppance from the Wyatts here and there, but it would have been better to see it come from Otis himself. And while this match was very entertaining, it was very good, very athletic, it also ended in a very unusual way, because I thought for sure they were going to give Otis the win here and call it a day. That's a wrap on this feud, and on we go. Maybe American Made goes to SmackDown, Otis and his camp stay on Raw, and never the twain shall meet again, as Chris Jericho would say. But that's not the case here. Chad Gable beats him, and then they allude to the fact that Otis will have another chance. Don't worry, you'll get him next time. As Rey Mysterio is trying to pump him up in the backstage area later on in the show. What? Why? I could have sworn this was going to be the end of it. But I guess this is going to continue to go on. And on. And on. And on. Which is going to be, again, a continuous motif in this show, because as we come back, we get the backstage segment from the Judgment Day, the same backstage segment we've been seeing over and over, where everybody's on Team Finn except for Dominic and Liv and Raquel. There's a little bit of tension there. Finn wants everybody to play by his rules, because when you listen to Finn, you win. And their commercial for the Liv Morgan Rhea Ripley match, which they promise is going to bring this feud to an end at the Raw on Netflix. Which, by the way, if I haven't mentioned it by now, if you were playing a drinking game tonight and you had Netflix on your board as one of the words to take a shot, you would have been ossified drunk within the first 5 minutes of this show. Never mind blackout drunk by the time you got to the half-hour mark. They loved saying the word Netflix all night long. Be that as it may. One of the other things that are running on too long, probably longer than everything else, Liv versus Rhea, promised to be put to an end next week. We'll see. We shall see. R-Truth is coming out to the ring. He's going to have a match versus Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne comes out before the match gets started, beats him up. He's really pissed off because Truth keeps calling him Butch. And after he beats Truth down and the match gets called off, he's standing there screaming, "I'm nobody's Butch! I'm nobody's Butch!" And all I could think of is that scene from Half-Baked where they were talking to Kenny in jail. And he's being saved from Nasty Nate, and he's like, "I'm somebody's bitch." I don't know where this is going, how long this is going to go on with this, stop calling me Butch thing. Can we get past this, please? Everything's just going on way too long. The Intercontinental Championship tournament for the women continues with the semifinals tonight. The first match in the semifinals, Dakota Kai versus Zoe Stark. Neither one of these girls has my attention at all. Okay, I don't care about any of the members of the purely fucking cringe faction. And I don't have any reason to be invested in Dakota Kai. I don't mind her so much. I just not connected. You know how it is. You know, you're a wrestling fan. You know, some people you just get, some people you just don't get. She's on the same level as like a Chelsea Green to me. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it, but whatever. The girl's good. It was a good match. It's not was it was a terrible match. It was a decent match, but nothing special. Zoe Stark to me is another one of these botch machines the WWE likes to push. I haven't seen a match yet where she hasn't missed at least one spot. But that's just me nitpicking, I guess. I don't know. I guess you can call it a solid match. But the bottom line is, Dakota Kai moves on. Is she going to face Io Sky, who is in the other semifinal? We will have to wait and find out. One of my favorite parts of this night was the highlight package commemorating the 30-year history and the moments of WWE Raw on the USA Network. Some of the moments that you would just never ever forget. Austin, Rock, spraying the beer truck, you know, Eddie in China. They even took the high road here, and they featured guys that were there that are no longer there who actually work for the competition. We saw the Yes movement with Daniel Bryan. We saw Edge do his 5-second pose with Edge and Christian. We even saw him get his ass beat, which I think was intentional, an intentional clip insertion when Damian Priest kicked him out of the Judgment Day. They showed so many moments, and it gave me chills. They even showed Chris Jericho's debut moment, which made the hairs stand on my arm almost the exact same way it did 25 years ago. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. Where is the time going? But, yeah, that it was really cool to see some of that stuff again that I haven't seen in a while. Brought back the memories. Damian Priest and the War Raiders taking on the Judgment Day, Finn Balor, JD McDonough, and Dominic Mysterio. If this doesn't come to an end soon, I swear to God, I'm gonna lose my mind. I just don't care. Finn versus Damian, or Damian versus the Judgment Day in any capacity. That ship is like sunk. Never mind being sailed. That ship has sunk, and they have failed to do the right thing at this point. It's just such a one-sided, boring feud where Finn keeps losing, but he just won't go away, and he just won't accept the fact that he's not Damian Priest. I don't know. Is it jealousy that's supposed to be driving him? Is it envy that he's getting shots at the title? I don't even care. I don't even care anymore. I don't want to know what the Finn's problem is. I don't care. Which makes it hard to get invested in this match. And this was nothing more than a regular 6-man match. Nothing really special happened. Damian Priest and the War Raiders get the win after Damian hits the South of Heaven. And then Finn Balor attacks him after the match, focuses his attack on his legs, goes to do a coup de grace from the top rope on his leg, which is being held down by other members of the Judgment Day, but he is saved by the War Raiders at the last minute. And again, this is just going to continue to go on, and I was hoping they were going to put the nail in the coffin for most of these feuds on this episode going forward, so that the new Raw on Netflix would bring new feuds, new things happening, give you a reason to tune in. All this stuff that we've been watching for the last year is over now. Let's see what's coming up on this new season, in this new home, on this new network. But do you know what's coming at us? All the same stuff that has been going on and on and on. Ludwig Kaiser then came out to cut a promo, and apparently he's got his sights continued to be set on Braun Breaker, who I would have rather seen wrestle on this match than wrestle on this night in some type of match, more than anything else that they've put on this show so far. But Sheamus has other plans, as he decided to interrupt as he is returning from injury to get some vengeance on Ludwig Kaiser, who's the one that hurt him, of course. Kaiser tried to make a stand, but that didn't last, as he ended up getting hit in the face with a bro kick from Sheamus that sent his chin into the third row. So we're going to have to see this going forward, which is something, again, that has already been going on for at least the last month or so. And I'm sure they're going to throw Braun Breaker in the mix and continue that. And we'll keep going with that as well. They could go as far with that as they want, as long as Braun Breaker stays the Intercontinental Champion. I don't care. Once again, as I mentioned previously, Rey Mysterio was backstage giving Otis encouragement. Don't worry, kid, you're going to get him next time. He then gets interrupted by the New Day. They have a little back and forth. They end up agreeing to a tag team match against each other at an unspecified point. Like, they didn't really specifically say, oh, next week, or, at the Royal Rumble, or anything. Nothing. But, Rey Mysterio says he's going to face them next week. We don't know which one of his LWO members he's going to choose. I believe this is where they're going to insert Penta. It makes the most sense. Penta maybe makes his debut live on Raw on Netflix in the first episode on Netflix. They had another promo with the little zero, with the red zero with the slash through it, and then it turned into Penta's mask, so we know for sure it's definitely him. For them to go that far on this episode, I have no reason to believe that they wouldn't bring him out next episode as Rey's mystery partner to take on the New Day on the first episode next week. Women's Intercontinental Championship semifinal round number 2, probably the best match of the night. And it's weird to even say that. Lyra Valkyria defeats Io Sky. What? Nobody saw that coming. I think a lot of people were cashing their chips on an all damage control final for the Intercontinental title here, but that's not what happened. And I think Lyra Valkyria won over the crowd here, because when she came out to crickets. Nobody seemed to give a shit. Everybody was definitely on Io's side, but by the time they got through that match, we had This Is Awesome chance, and it was well deserved because this was an excellent match. These girls pulled it off, and are you surprised? Io Sky is one of the best in the world. She could probably wrestle a broomstick like Ric Flair or Shawn Michaels could, and they made each other look great. There were some really great spots in this match, highly entertaining, and it was a last minute roll up, like kind of out of nowhere, Lyra Valkyria with a shocking pin that just even caught Io Sky out of nowhere. Obviously, this match was really fun. It was really exciting. And now that Lyra won, I'm thinking she's probably got this thing in the bag. I would not see why they would give it to Dakota Kai unless Dakota Kai is going to be the heel going forward and they're going to have Lyra chase her for the title, which would probably get people a little bit more invested. I would understand that going forward, being that she's the semifinalist. That would be the natural feud for the champion, and vice versa as well. But I think Lyra will work better as a babyface, and then you can have Damage Control go after them. But that's getting a little bit too much in the future. We got to see how this thing rolls out, because I guess on the Netflix show we're going to have the finals, right? Or the finals going to be at the Royal Rumble. Either way, it's going to be Dakota Kai versus Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship Finals. Should be a decent match, I guess. I'm pulling for the Bird Lady the whole way. Let's do it. And then, probably the best segment on Raw all year. Seth Rollins, CM Punk, face off. Seth Rollins wants to come out here dressed up in a suit made out of my grandma's old tablecloths. All right, I know I seen that pattern somewhere, and I'm pretty sure I seen it on a Christmas dinner table somewhere along the line. Maybe it wasn't the tablecloth, maybe it was the runner in the middle. Maybe it was her drapes. You know, her 1970s drapes that she never took down well into the 90s and even up until her final days on this planet. She owned those curtains, and I'm pretty sure they looked exactly like Seth Rollins' suit. Punk knew he looked ridiculous because he calls him out on it, because the man knows what he's looking at. I know what I'm looking at, and I'm looking at a guy in a ridiculous suit. And if his intention is to look ridiculous, to make people go, look at this guy, he looks ridiculous, then bravo. But if you think you're in there in your best fit and your drip is looking sweet as fuck, you're wrong. You look like you're in my grandma's drapes. Which I'm pretty sure I may have said before, because that seems to be his style. He likes to wear 70s garbage drapes as suits. Be that as it may, this man came out with a lot of piss and vinegar in his soul and in his veins. And so did CM Punk. These guys have a long, long history with each other. It's very complicated and it's very personal. And they made it even more personal tonight. This face-to-face took some real deep cuts on both sides. How Seth is a corporate suck-up and CM Punk is a traitor and he turned on everybody and he wished death on the company and now it's supposed to be just welcome you back. No, and it just really, so many great, really intense things were said. One of my favorite things that were said by CM Punk specifically was how he's like, oh, you're just mad because your pride is hurt because you got your ass squashed by Bronson Reed and you couldn't get revenge on him and I broke his leg, I broke his ankle in the War Games. But then Rollins comes back at him talking about how, well, you know, my wife took a break because she's home taking care of a kid, something you would know nothing about. Talking about how I guess how him and his wife don't have children yet. That was a low blow. He took a dig about how he went on Colt Cabana's podcast to complain about the WWE. Again, wishing death on him and that he turned on them instead of staying in the trenches and fighting the war. And that he's not going to be little brothered by Punk anymore because he's actually the big brother now. Wow. Wow. Real back and forth. And if you would have seen, if you were watching, I know you've seen it, but if you really go back and look and you see the eyes of these men, I mean, at one point, Seth Rollins looked like he was going to cry. Not because he's a baby, but because he's so angry and so full of emotion. And maybe the things Punk are saying is so hurtful. You've been there. You've been in that situation where you're fighting back the tears, but you're not sad. You're angry. And that was Seth Rollins tonight. And CM Punk came off cool as a cucumber. Seth Rollins is out there calling him a cancer. And the only way to get rid of the cancer is to cut him out. And that next week, he is going to burn Seth Rollins to the ground. I'm just burn CM Punk to the ground. Really intense. If you wanted a reason to sign up for Netflix as a wrestling fan, and you watched Raw tonight, those last 10 minutes between these two men, they're your reason to do so. The emotion and the intensity going forward from here is going to be even worse than how it got between Punk and Drew McIntyre. If those two guys that got that pissed over a bracelet, imagine how heated this is going to get. This is real beef. This is real heat. This is real personal stuff. And there is no better professional wrestling than when the line between reality and television is blurred as perfectly as these two men did tonight. All of that being said about the episode, I will keep this brief to try to cut this video short. My biggest problem with this show going forward, with Monday Night Raw in general going forward, is simply the fact that it's not going to be on broadcast television. And it is now going to become a victim of the streaming culture that is destroying entertainment. Now, I'm talking from personal experience with Netflix specifically. Netflix specifically. You try saying that back to back. Not as easy as it sounds. When I watched the Jake Paul fight, when I watched football on Christmas Day, both live events that they should have been prepared for. Millions and millions and millions of people were going to tune into both of these events, and I sat here getting lots of lag, getting lots of blurry feeds, and mostly getting frozen and then bumped to a loading screen and missing a good 30 to 40 second chunks of the broadcast at a time. I cannot say that I have faith that Netflix is going to have everything ready to go and that all the glitches are going to be worked out. I don't foresee that happening. What I feel like is going to happen is we're going to tune in to Raw next week, and we're going to be watching, and it's going to be really bitmapped. It's going to be poor visual quality. And then as soon as CM Punk and Seth Rollins are about to lock up, it's going to freeze. And it's going to bump. And I'm going to see the loading circle. And I'm going to see the loading circle. And I'm going to see it for 10 fucking minutes. Or what I usually do is after about 1 full minute, I back out, I reload, and now we're back at square one until it decides to do it again. Effectively making watching Raw even more frustrating than it was back when Vince McMahon was in charge, because now it's actually good. I actually want to see it. I'm actually invested in some of this stuff, and I'm not going to be able to see it because it's going to be streamed like shit. There are going to be hundreds of thousands of people, millions even, streaming live simultaneously, and that never goes well. Historically, never goes well. How many times have you just been streaming a movie on HBO Max? Random fucking movie that you probably thought nobody else in the world would be watching, and it performs like shit. This is the future and the fate of the WWE as clients of Netflix. Unless, and I hope I'm wrong, but can you tell me that you're confident that your viewing experience starting next Monday going forward for Raw is going to be as good, at least in presentation form, just, from satellite to screen? I don't know. I hope it is, and I hope we all enjoy it, and I hope you will all enjoyed this show as well. Thank you for watching, everybody. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and check out one of these other videos I have floating around on this screen right here. This has been the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. I'm Nick Nightmare, and I will see you next time.